for joining us on Montreal Rocks.
We are so happy to be here.
Thank you. So today I'm speaking with Megan and Rebecca from Larkin Poe, and I'm actually a really big fan, to be honest. That's why I really wanted to talk to you guys.
Well, thank you.
Are you both in Nashville now or not?
We are.
Yeah, we're in Nashville. Got off the road about a week ago, and just enjoying a little bit of home time.
Your new album, Blood Harmony, will be released November 11th, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then you'll be doing a new tour for that album?
Yeah, we're really excited. We're going to be doing USA headline January, February, March, and very beginning of April. And then we'll do some summer festivals, and then we'll go to Europe and continue the Blood Harmony tour.
Wow. I saw some Canadian dates, but you're not coming to my city, and I'm very disappointed.
Oh no. I wish we had more time. That honestly becomes the biggest struggle, is figuring out how to physically move from one place to the other with all of our stuff. We play music for free, we're paid to travel.
Well, it's also the venues. Like I'm speaking to a lot of artists where because of COVID and all the lockdowns, right? So a lot of artists now, like there's a lot of backlog with shows, right? So venues are not available as well.
It's true. Yeah, a lot of complicating factors.
Do you have a big fan base in Canada that you know of, or slowly starting?
That's a great question.
I think we have a fan base in Canada. We've been lucky enough to play a lot of great festivals over the years, and Canada has such great, a lot of folk music festivals. So we've really enjoyed getting to come through and play a lot of festivals, and we haven't got to do a lot of headline shows. So it's going to be great to finally get up and play some of our headlines there.
You were in Trois-Rivières or Three Rivers, I think, this summer in Quebec, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's a couple hours away from me, so I could not make it, but we'll see.
Yeah, we've gotten to do Winnipeg and Mariposa and a handful of others. So I feel like it's been we've actually done some, if we're talking about headline shows, I know we've done a couple West Coast, but not much East Coast. So it'll be really good to, I think, as time allows, actually get up there and spend some time touring in Canada. I look forward to it. As Megan said, it's great to see a lot of folk and blues and just general music appreciation festivals. Always the energy feels really, really great at the festivals you've been to.
I listened to the new album and I really love it. And it's very bluesy and it's kind of rockish. It's got a lot. I think it's your most, I don't want to say different, but do you think it's the album where you've explored the most on?
I feel like since we started our record label in 2017, we started Tricky Woo Records such that we could have as much as we could, attain unfettered creative freedom to be able to do the explorations that we wanted to do. So I think that one of the hallmarks of Larkin Poe is the fact that we do try to live beneath a pretty broad umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
We call ourselves roots rock and roll, such that we're able to do a bunch of different styles and represent the many angles of our musical, appreciation and love. Because we grew up playing bluegrass, we love the blues, we love old style country, we love rockabilly, we love rock and roll, we love I love heavy metal and stuff like that. That doesn't make as much an appearance in what we do. But to be able to, let every little bit of who we are fly as a flag has been very important. And I do think that we've done that as well with creating a pretty diverse album in Blood Harmony.
Well, that's what I love, because I love that about your music is you explore a lot. And like I'm thinking of artists like Jack White and people like that they're punk, they're rock, they're country-ish, they're bluesy. I mean, he worked with Loretta Lynn, and like I love that aspect of like rock music or whatever you want to call it, that you don't just stick to one specific style, but you incorporate so many different, I'm going to call it, flavors in the music.
Yeah. And I think it's so intriguing as well, because when you do have bands like a Jack White or even like an Elvis Costello, and this is an artist who is creating music that is based in the roots of traditional American music. Because when you dig down deep enough, you hit that foundational level, which is the blues, and all of the offshoots of American music have sprung from that same root. So I think that it is possible to have a band or a sound that encompasses all those flavors, like you say, but they are coming from a similar source. So it feels authentic.
And diversifying means you can have a very long, broad career. You can dabble in a lot of different genres. You can go a lot of different directions and kind of keep people guessing.
Yeah. Well, I personally like that. So, a lot of people just want classic rock, or they just want to listen to the oldies, or, I think that your appeal was you do a lot of covers, and I don't know when you started that specifically, but I remember during lockdown, again, I watched a lot of your covers that you did, which were really, really cool. I mean, you covered everybody almost, like some kind of artists that you wouldn't expect, like from Black Sabbath to the Beatles to Elton John, and you put your little spin on it with your slide guitar or your lap steel and all. Like I mean, that you guys love doing that, I guess, right? That's how you kept busy during the pandemic as well.
We've been doing that cover video series for a number of years now. And we originally started the series just as a learning tool, because it's always good to keep learning and being able to learn other people's riffs and how other people sing and how other people write songs. It can be really great to kind of push yourself forward as an artist or as a musician. So we kind of just started doing that as a learning tool and learning exercise, and we did not expect it to take off like it did.
Yeah.
And I think people enjoy the decisions that we make of the songs that we choose. That's a little bit surprising sometimes, but it always kind of sounds like us somehow. And it's like a lot of these are songs that we just wish we had written. We wish that they were ours. And it is kind of fun to put an element of ourselves into the songs that we love.
Yeah, that's how I discovered you. You appeared on my newsfeed. But you're saying songs that you like. Are there any songs you'd wished? Like, can you name me a song that you'd wish you had written?
Bell Bottom Blues.
I was going to say Bell Bottom Blues. That's so funny. Of all the songs, I think I would have loved to have written Bell Bottom Blues, but really just point and click at any of her on any of our videos, and I probably would have wished that we had written it.
Mama, I'm Coming Home. Ozzy Osbourne is another one that I would love to have written. Brilliant.
Crocodile Rock.
Elton John, classic.
But like, I actually listen to lyrics, and I listen to Blood Harmony, and some of your lyrics, like, so Rebecca, you write all the lyrics?
The majority, yeah, not all.
Majority. Okay. And Megan, you kind of chip in sometimes with the lyrics, or you're mostly putting the riffs together?
On Blood Harmony, in particular, we did come together and collaborated a lot on the songs. A lot of the beginnings of ideas and the lyrics tend to come from Rebecca, but we do heavily edit together. Okay. So she'll kind of have an idea, and then we'll, particularly in recording this album, we came together and just sat and played the songs and edited, rewrote, changed a lot of the songs from kind of just a nugget of an idea.
Okay, because sometimes lyrics are personal, like they're emotional or personal, right? So it's kind of hard.
Well, since she is the lead singer, I think it's important for the lyrics to feel right in her mouth. Like it should be authentic.
Yeah, well, it's pretty. Okay, I have a lot of questions. One is, so there's a lot of dark and like disturbing and kind of like topics that you deal with, and the deep South and the dark kind of scary stuff. I don't know how to phrase it. There was a line I loved in okay, it's super lyrical with, okay, deep stays down. No, the one with the cat and the cat's in the bag, the bag's in the river runs deep, and the deep stays down. Like that's, I mean, I'm not doing it justice clearly, but it's just the way the way you phrase that together, it's catchy, and it's stuck in my ear for a while. And what's your process? Like, do words just come to you, or?
I love that you picked that line out, those couple of lines out specifically.
Okay.
I do hope that folks will listen and understand that we are speaking with the use of metaphor employed. We're not necessarily talking about the drowning of cats.
No, I
We
didn't
love,
think so.
but also I think as a writer, I do love alliteration, and I really like.
Yeah.
I especially connect with writers like Chris Whitley, who is a great Houston-based blues artist, or Tom Waits. And these are writers that use a lot of strong imagery and language of expression, where you're building pictures and
Yeah,
you're
telling
using
stories.
very chewy words that have a lot of, just a lot of sparkle to them. So I do like to write songs from, personal perspective about relationships or loving and losing, or like, the human experience, but I think always trying to put those themes through a lens that makes it more saturated and more colorful. Always feels like a lot of fun. And I think a lot of that, the color and fun, also comes from having lyrics that do have the alliteration, and there's internal rhymes within lines, or they're just like chunky words, you know what I mean? So I get very obsessive about my lyrics, and I'll just be sitting here in silence. And I usually, where I'm sitting right now, is where I write the majority of my songs, and it's just trying to get lines to, I don't know, stand on their own, but then work in context. And so I put a lot of love in my lyrics.
Okay, well, it shows, because people don't realize how hard it is to write good songs. I mean, lyrically, there's a lot of good songs out there, but I always refer to Tom Petty as one of my favorite songwriters in terms of his lyrics are really, really simple, but they seem simplistic, right? But it's like, she's a good girl, she loves her mama, or whatever, like it seems so simple, right? But then he's telling you such a deep and rich, multi-layered story, right?
Yeah, big aspirations to be able to write with that much negative space, because I do think that Petty is easily one of the pinnacle writers of all time, with his ability, and not just within a single song, but then you zoom out and you look at his entire discography, and his ability to pull the rabbit out of the hat upteenth million times is just remarkable. I feel grateful to have been alive at the same time as him.
Yeah. Excuse my singing, by the way.
No, it's great.
It's great. Never apologize for singing.
In the shower. The album kind of goes all over not goes all over the place, but you have some really dark song, and then you have some upbeat. What's the upbeat rock song that I liked? Sorry, Kick the Blues. Yeah, I think that's probably the most upbeat track on the album, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I think, speaking to that point too, this one is like a tongue twister lyrically. I just had a lot of fun painting sort of the picture of, Southern vernacular.
Okay, so that's a Southern thing. So you're born in Georgia, but now you live in Nashville, right?
We were actually born in East Tennessee, and then grew up in Northern Georgia.
Oh,
and then moved back I guess it was about 7 years ago, we moved back to Tennessee.
Okay. Oh yeah, you have a song about missing home, about the rear view mirror. What was that one? Oh, Georgia on my mind. Yeah. Is that about being homesick?
We find, in retrospect, throughout many albums at this point, we do have a proclivity about writing about home. We have a proclivity towards that, a little bit of a homesickness. And I really do think it's just based on the fact that for the last 15 years, we spent the majority of our adult lives away from home. We're on the road, on tour, all the time. And we love it. We love the fast paced, hither thither, itchy feet, never standing still. But then I do think, in being gone, there is always that bittersweet sense of missing home. So it seems to show up quite often in songwriting. And we wrote Tennessee, Keep Georgia Off My Mind about that transition, 7 years ago, when we left Northern Georgia and moved back to Tennessee. And I think that so many people can relate to that tipping moment, right? Where you have one foot in the past and one foot in the future, and you're sort of in that state of moving to a new chapter. And it's scary, it's exciting, it's a little bittersweet, it's introspective, and rewrote Georgia off my mind, while also being so terribly clever with piggybacking almost entirely off of the classic Georgia on my mind.
Yeah.
Out to our one and only Mr. Ray Charles.
Well, I like also the fact that, as you said, since you're a fan of all music and you do a lot of covers, and now here's this reference to Ray Charles. The one about the bad spell, I like that one, has really fuzzy guitar on it. I really like that one. And Bad Spell, I think you said it was sort of a response to the Jeff Beck, or like I put a spell on you.
I Put a Spell on You by Screamin' Jay Hawkins.
Yeah, Screaming Jay, but I don't know why I said Jeff Beck. But
well, hey, anytime we get to say Jeff Beck's name, it's a good thing. We love Jeff Beck.
He's still performing, and he's still like on top. Like he hasn't lost anything.
That's the truth.
Yeah. Oh yeah, speaking of good guitar tone, I love that you picked up on the fuzzy guitar, because I think that's got to be the most badass guitar tone on the record is on Bad Spell. It really cranked up the fuzz pedal on that one.
I love that. It kind of gave me a little bit of a Black Keys vibe. Do you like the Black Keys? I don't know. Just
very much. Like I love Black Keys, and in the same vein, Jack White, artists that I think have done have done their best to really move with reverence and giving kudos to the past, the artists that have come before that, have laid the foundation for the music that they both make and that so many of us in this field make. And I do respect, the conscientiousness and the self-awareness with which they make blues music.
Well, I think that's why, like, as I said, I mean, y'all appeared on my news feed a couple of years ago with all the covers, and then I'm like, who are these? Or do they have their own songs? Like, who are these girls, whatever? And I looked you up, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I became a fan as well. And like I said, you do your covers and you play homage to a lot of great artists that came before you, but you still have your own sound and your own flavor and your own twist, because you're authentic, and you're curious, and your music keeps, I don't want to say keeps changing, but everybody keeps changing, hopefully. And like I said, I find this album a little heavier, or a little more, maybe it's a little more personal, or as you're growing older, so to speak, finding more of your voice. I mean, you always had your own voice, but I guess are you in your 30s or hitting your 30s now? You change, right? You sort of look at things differently. Maybe you feel more confident. You've put in your time. You've paid your dues, so to speak.
You're so kind to say all that. And I do think this is our most grounded album to date. Every album that we make, we learn a little bit more about ourselves. And I do feel very confident with this album. I think of any of the projects that we have worked on together, I think both Megan and I were able to come together in a really new way to create this music. It's by far the most collaborative album that we've made together as sisters, in a way that I think really sets the music free. So I'm super grateful that we've been able to reach this point, in our relationship as sisters and music makers and songwriters, to have created an album that does feel very representative of who we are and where we are at this point in time. And it's refreshing. It's
heavy metal next.
Let's go.
Really? Is there any lap steel on heavy metal though? I don't know.
Yeah, baby.
It'll scream.
They'll part some hairs.
I'll be honest, I don't know that much about lap steel, I mean, it's in a lot of country music, right? But
yeah, lap steel actually it's in a lot of different kinds of music, and I think people just don't really know that they've been listening to lap steel. It's kind of one of those instruments that kind of creeps in. Like it's on a lot of Pink Floyd records. Jackson Browne, that Running on Empty solo, that's like one of the most iconic guitar solos in classic rock is a lap steel. It's in a lot of country music, of course, Hawaiian music. So it's kind of one of those instruments that's super, super versatile, but you don't run across it a whole lot, which I think is a shame. I think it should be more of a commonly used instrument, because it's incredibly flexible. It's such a vocal instrument that it can work with all styles of music.
Well, you started, Megan, you started with guitar, and then you did dobro, and then you went to lap steel. Like, how did it progress? I think Matt, you said was it mandolin you started with, or?
So we actually started out being classically trained,
Yes.
violinists and pianists. So I started on violin first, and I've actually never played a fretted instrument.
Oh.
So I've never played guitar. I tried to play mandolin, tried to play banjo. Didn't really fit with me. So I've always tended towards fretless.
Okay.
You can play a good D chord on the guitar, though.
Oh, I can play a hefty D chord, and that's about it.
I think I read somewhere were you on a tour and then they sort of lost your lap steel and you had no lap steel? Was that recent?
Yeah, that was actually, let's see, back in August. We flew to Germany to play a big TV show over there, and my lap steel got lost. And I say lost. We knew where it was the whole time because we have tracking devices in our instruments,
Wow.
but the airlines were having a hard time being able to get to it and send it to us. And that was a very stressful 24 hours because we were really worried we wouldn't have a lap steel for the TV performance. But it showed up the day of, the nick of time.
Wow.
So we're lucky. We're lucky in that.
Well, post-pandemic touring as well is there was so many problems with airports and luggage lost and flight delays and cancellations and all that stuff. So that's stressful in itself. So yeah.
It is. It's a different landscape out there post-COVID.
Yeah. But did Blood Harmony, you were working on it during like COVID time, sort of?
So actually, we released our album Self-Made Man right at the very beginning of the lockdown back in 2020. So during 2020, we, delved into live streaming and as we saw a bunch of the cover videos to keep ourselves busy. And we also made an acoustic covers album called Kindred Spirits.
Right.
About midway through the year. And then in December, we actually released another album called Paint the Roses, which was a collaboration album that we recorded live with an ensemble down in Miami called Ludeco. And that was an incredible experience. Again, love a good Larkin Poe chameleon moment. So we started working on Blood Harmony after we had been out on the road, sort of touring post-pandemic throughout the fall of 2021. So in December 21 is when we started thinking about what we wanted to write. In January of 22 of this year, we started writing. And then we recorded in February and had the record finished in March. And here we are.
Well, you have a home studio, right? That helps?
We do. Half of the album we recorded in our home studio. And then the other half we recorded with our good friend Roger Allen Nichols in Berry Hill, which is an iconic recording neighborhood here in Nashville.
Okay. Bolt Cutters, that Bolt Cutters song. Now I'm jumping off. What's that song? Okay, I like that. There's another line. You can't take the fight out of me. What's the line?
Yeah, you can take me out of the fight, but you can't take the fight out of me. Which I feel is such a important type of energy for women to remember. I think that culturally there is so much pressures placed on women to be very polite and kind and manage our emotions appropriately and all that's good and fine. And I do think that there's a lot of strength that I think women are able to carry based on some of the societal pressures that are placed on us. But the reminder that just because the pressure is there doesn't mean that we need to respond. So to definitely carry your fight, and when you need to stand up and open your mouth, when you need to not do something, when you need to say no, say it. Just let it out. Let it out full force. Volume on 11.
Because you're in a really male-dominated kind of industry as well, and your style of music as well. So I think we need voices like this. Like I'm a fan of Margot Price and artists like that sing about things that are maybe uncomfortable, but in your face. So
I agree. And I think it definitely requires women to raise up the women that they believe in and support. So thank you for speaking with us. And
thank you so much. I could have spoken with you for another hour, but
What a treat. I know next time we'll have to block more time.
Okay, thank you so much. And so November 11th.
November 11th.
Yes.
That's right.
Harmony, and try to come to Montreal, okay?
We will love
We
that.
will.
We promise.
Thank you.